Okay, I'm so happy that I have this opportunity to come today and speak to you concerning a juicy hot topic on today. And so this is ARA Self-Empowerment Podcast. We're all about community impact over profit. That's what we're all about. And so today's podcast is a juicy topic that can impact the community, that can help the family, and help so many out there that will receive it. And so what I want you to do is take the opportunity to share this video with as many people as you can. Please do that. Please help us out. I want you to go over to my YouTube channel, ARA Self-Empowerment. You'll see the African continent, green background. And I want you to like, share, and subscribe. We only have one video posted up there. We're actually redoing our whole YouTube concept and video platform, but I still want you to go in there, like, share, and subscribe. Look at the video that's there. We're going to start uploading more videos. And in the present time, you can follow us here on Facebook, ARA Self-Empowerment Podcast on Facebook. That's ARA Self-Empowerment Podcast on Facebook. You can follow us here to keep in touch with us and to continue to share our videos with many people to help them. And I am confident that this video is going to bless you and to help you. So we're going to relax and take our time and just talk on today. And so today's topic is a matter of a topic. I guess you want to wrap it up into a question. Are there the majority of Africans and African American people as a whole, even in the continent of America, North America, South America, the islands, even Africa, as a whole, are we failing or are we succeeding? You know, if you were to take 100% of the African people, even the descendants of Africa in America, are we succeeding as a whole? It has been said that when you go around the world, even though the Jewish people may see themselves as a hated people around the globe, but when you look around the globe, I think we're rivaling with them, or if not the worst, in the sense, what I mean by worst is how we are looked down on and disrespected and not looked up to. I want to say this, and so I'm going to attempt to answer the question, but also bring dialogue and context to the conversation. One of the things that I noticed, several things, not one, several things that I noticed is when you look at Japan, who went inside of so many countries and took over for natural resources during World War II and possibly even before that. Look at Germany launching the continent or continents and the world into World War II. And when you look at Russia and all of the major European powers, even Britain, going all over the globe, Britain has reminded me, when I look at history, almost like an alien ship that goes from planet to planet, taking natural resources from the planet and then just wiping out the planet. And that's pretty much what Britain reminds me of when I look at their history in context. But yet, as a whole, people do not see Britain as some type of bacteria or some type of pariah or something. They don't see Japan that way. They don't see they don't see Germany. They don't see France, even though the atrocities that France has had and still do. They don't see Spain, who in Portugal, who kind of kicked off the slave trade from a European perspective, even though we know the Arabs had their section too. We don't see them this way, but some kind of way, the most hated or disrespected or looked down continent is Africa. It's almost like the kid that gets beat up in school is the kid that seems to be looked down on. And the one that's the bully and beats up people is the one that is looked up to. Like, wow, I want to be like him. I want to be, as I heard a friend of mine say, he played football, and I asked him why he played defense. He said, I learned a long time ago that I would rather be the hammer than the nail. I always thought about that when he said that. He said he learned a long time ago that he would rather be the hammer than the nail. And when I look over the last 600 years of history, modern history, I guess we can go back into ancient, but right now we want to stick with modern history. In the last 600 years, it seemed to me that the Africans and the African American people, or black people over the world, have been the nail. And the Europeans and the Asians and the Muslims, or so to speak, or Arab or whatever, Middle Eastern, have been the hammer. And they continue to be the hammer. And black people as a whole continue to have an illusion. I tell people this all the time. It's like in a marriage and relationship, it is the illusion of inclusion. Pretending that you're a part of something that you know you're not. It's almost like pretending that you're in a relationship that you're not. But I want you to know that many times that when we talk about things, and it takes context to understand things, just like when you talk about crime in America, you can't just say, oh, I looked up some statistics and I say that black people lead in crime without context. You can't say, why, if we know all of this, why won't black people take responsibility for their actions? And so the question pops up, are they taking responsibility or are they not? I mean, who's right? Who's wrong? But I want to bring context to something here. It's like talking to a person who, or not a person, a child. Can you imagine a child who was raised to think a certain way or to believe a certain way, and then all of a sudden that child grows up and begin to perform and act a way that's not appropriate, or the way, and we want to look at this adult and say, man, why can't he or she do better? You know, it reminds me of the illustration of taking a animal and chaining him to a pole. And the animal can be chained to the pole for so long that even though he is released from the chain, he still thinks he's on the chain because he's been on there so long. He thinks he's on the chain. And so what has happened to African American or African people over the last 600 years is that there has been a more dominant culture or dominant people that came in by exploitation, trickery, deceit, disease, however it happened. And when I say dominant, I'm not saying all the time it's by muscle, because understand that dominance is not all the time by muscle or might. Most dominance is by espionage in mental. It's in the mind. It's so mental today, and that's why I guess I can make up a word. You know, they call it a generational transmission of trauma. I'm gonna call it the mental transmission of mental trauma. You know, just I say it like that. Because when the chain is released, the animal still thinks he's chained. In today's society, black people were traumatized possibly 5 centuries ago. You know, 5 centuries, if more than that, possibly. But some kind of way that trauma or that abuse has been passed down. The chain has been taken off, but the group of people are in bondage to that trauma. And what I mean by that, being in bondage to it, is that even though they took the chain off or colonization off, the people that were in the bondage has passed down the trauma to their children fed them, and on and on and on. This is why you can go to a town and you can see white people in America, especially in the South, flying rebel flags and saying it's heritage, and you'll see a population of black people saying nothing wrong with it, like it's cool. It's because they were raised that way. They were raised to feel conditioned. It's almost like a young lady being molested, or even a boy. I want to be frank about it. A young man being molested by a woman, or older woman, or a young girl being molested by an older man. A lot of times what happens is, if they have some kind of relationship, or they have conditioned them to feel like it's cool, many times they won't even complain about it because they feel obligated to the person, because they have created some type of friendship. That's why I call it the illusion of inclusion, but I also call it, my stepdaughter, she was talking about finessing. I guess, that's a new word. Well, I guess it's not new. I guess they've been saying finessing, but I never looked at it like that. She was like, well, we're going to finesse them. And I was like, what? Finesse them? And so when we start thinking about that, that's what has happened to black people. That's what happens to black women. They are finessed. They finesse them. They get you in the job and make you feel that you are part of the corporate society by giving you this nice position or this nice title. But the whole thing is, once you have the nice title and you have the nice position, the whole thing that we're not looking at is, why are our families so toe up and broken up? Almost like back in the time of slavery. People, I was looking at Mandinga, the man has sold all that woman's children off. And one of her sons had came back to the plantation and didn't know that the woman was his mama. It's so horrible how black people were moved all around and sold and switched and here and done this. And so when we look at today, and we look at today's society, we're wondering, why can't African Americans as a whole overcome? It's because of the teaching within our churches, our homes, our schools, and our communities. That teaching and I want to say this, and this is going to be real deep. And some of you are going to say, or might say, that I'm blaming women. Well, I want to give you an illustration about a woman, about how God created a woman, so that you understand why black people can't make it over the world. Well, let's go back to the beginning of creation. When you look at creation, who did the serpent? If you want to believe, and some people say they don't believe this illustration. Well, if you don't have to believe it, but look at where we are today, and it's going to show you that the illustration is true, or the story is true. So that was Eve in the garden, and here comes this serpent, who was Satan talking through this serpent, but he spoke to Eve. He didn't speak to Adam, this particular man, this first male, but he did speak to the woman. And so he gave her this illusion that she will be on the level of God. You're going to be on his level. And this is just show you something. And I'm not trying to say that the woman her being deceived is the reason why so many African Americans are deceived. So I don't want you to think I'm going there. I'm trying to show you how ignorance is birthed and how it is spread. Okay. And so it's almost like a a biological weapon. Let me say it that way. And so if a person wants to kill up a whole lot of people, what is he going to do? He's going to go somewhere where a lot of people need a source. What is that? A water supply where people eat their food, you know. See, those are biological weapons. It was the same thing before they actually created biological weapons. When they came to the New World, a lot of the Europeans were nasty and they came in. They were actual biological weapons. They just walked off the ship as a walking biological weapon. It was the same thing in Africa. They killed millions off of just biological weapons because their bodies were nasty and Africans had not built up an immune system to the disease that the white man was carrying. That's why I say dominance is not always about strength, time and chance. So it just happened to be nasty because of them on ships or whatever they were doing. And it just happened to spread and they had not built up a immune system to that. And so if a person wants to kill up a lot of people, he finds a source. So what happened in doing slavery and doing Africa succumbed to the European powers, the Spanish powers, the Middle Eastern powers. They succumbed to those powers. However, whether that was through a biological weapon, deceit, might, wars, attrition, it's a whole lot of things that could have happened there. But one of the things that did happen was they took hold of the black woman. They took hold of that black woman. That's why when you look at lions, a lion comes in, he kills every male and he gets rid of all of the babies, but he keeps the females and he starts his line. And when you see, when Africans were dominated and Native Americans or whatever, it wasn't just putting black men in slavery. It was taking hold of that black woman. And when he took hold of that black woman, a lot of black women, millions of them were raped. They were not only raped, but they were embarrassed and humiliated and subjugated. To the point where the black woman became the concubine of the white man. She became loyal to massa, basically. And thus, once they gained control of the woman, they had control of the man, because anything that came out of that woman was going to be loyal to the mother. And if the mother told them something and to be something, they began to grow up. I don't care how big and muscle bound you were. And anytime a man came in and tried to say anything different, that woman would always bring him into subjection some kind of way. And you think about that, how could she do that? I mean, he was bigger than her, stronger than her. It's the mind. And we have seen this process over and over. And what I want you to see, it's not to go around trying to blame a woman like the woman is bad and pointing at them. I'm saying their mind has been captivated. I heard a preacher say this. He said that black people were physically emancipated, but they have yet to be spiritually emancipated. Have yet to be spiritually emancipated. See, black people were physically, but yet they still need to be spiritually emancipated. See, there has to be a spiritual freedom. And so this is why even when you see black men having money, the line is perverted. It's so toe up and mixed up. Look at a lot of the millionaires. Even when they have all this money, they wind up with doing threesomes and homosexuality, perversion, multiple women's, doing all this kind of stuff. So even though they got the money, the line has been tainted and all mixed up and toe up. It's all screwed up. So it's just like a person's body, a woman's body. That woman's body is not only a temple of God, but it is a house for another living body. And what you eat is going to determine what kind of structure that you're going to have to house a child. The same thing with the mind. But if the devil can contaminate not only your uterus, and see, a lot of women, not only is your uterus contaminated, but your mind is contaminated. You are a walking contamination. A lot of women and men alike, you wonder why your sons are so broken and tore up. Well, that's the Bible, even, which is a collection of books. There's a book in the scripture, it said, by the means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread. When God, Yahweh, was talking to the Hebrews, he said, do not give your sons to a hoe. That's what he said. He said, because if you give your sons to a hoe, you will cause the whole land to sin. Now, a lot of this, when you hear this, because somebody's going to get mad and say that I'm victim blaming and I'm blaming the woman. No. Notice what the Bible said. Do not give your sons to hoes. It will cause the what? The land of sin. See, so the devil took the word of God and took laws, just like in the law, the Bible did justify slavery, but a certain form of slavery, that when you had a debt and you was to be enslaved, meaning you had to work until you paid your debt if you didn't have the money, right? See those two situations right there? So when the devil saw that, he said, okay, I'm going to create this false debt that you owe for life. It wasn't supposed to be, oh, I just look at this guy and say, I want to put him in slavery. That's not what the Bible was talking about as slavery. It was saying when you owe some money and you couldn't pay it, or you didn't make any ways of pay, you had no means to pay it, then you could possibly be made a slave until you paid it. That was during ancient times. It was also saying, do not give your sons to hoes. You would call the land to sin. The Bible said that a man be made to a piece of bread, right? Well, here comes the devil and said, okay, I'll make you a hoe. I'll rape you. I'll molest you. So a lot of women were made into hoes, especially black women. They were forced into being harlots. And this is the same with homosexual, sodomites. I'm going to call them sodomites. Sodomites and perverts today who claim to be born to like the same sex. That was something that was forced upon them. Now they have embraced it. There's a saying, what you tolerate, another generation will embrace. See, a lot of women today have been forced into rebellion, harlotry, stubbornness, and they are contaminated. They're contaminated. See, back in the biblical time, I said, man, that's so mean. When people were contaminated, God just says, depending on the contamination, he stoned them dead. When a child was disobedient, they lined that child up and stoned them dead. Because they looked at it as a contamination. There was no deliverance for the contamination. That's why Jesus came and died, to be delivered of the contamination. And now I understand what the pastor is saying. And so what happened is the contamination is the woman. This is why so many black people in America are not prospering as a whole. Look at their women. Their women are contaminated. Could you imagine Sexy Red? Look at Sexy Red. This is a hoe. Do you understand? They said she's pregnant. I don't know. It looked like it. Look is what's coming out this hoe. That doesn't mean that this woman can't be delivered, because she can. A hoe can be delivered. And so it looks like I'm blaming the woman. No, I'm blaming Satan. But you have to find a root. And what has happened is, over time, the man a long time ago was broken. Black men, not all, I'm not saying 100%, But the majority of black men were buck broke or broken. And if they couldn't break them, they killed them. And then today they're still doing it. If they cannot kill a black man, they're going to incarcerate him. And then they get him they call it being institutionalized. They get you in jail and prison, and they get your mind that if I can't kill you, then I'm going to break you and have your mind institutionalized. I don't want you talking none of this. That's why they call black men who speak up, they say you're militant. I had a person said, I'm a militant preacher. Why do I have to be militant? Because I speak the truth. Do you not see those code words? Look what they're saying to Deion Sanders. They say that he needs to be humbled. That's code for he needs to be institutionalized. He needs to be buck broken. And if he ain't see, let me show you about buck breaking. Buck breaking, when you look at the NBA, all of those men, those black men got all that money. But over the majority of them are buck broke. Dressed in all like, perverts and sissies. And those that are not buck broke, they've been put on a leash with a white woman or a Spanish woman. And those who are not buck broken or given on a leash with a white woman, they are ostracized and picked on and picked at and picked at. See, they couldn't buck break Bill Cosby, even though he was out there messing up, cheating on his wife. He had a black wife, still do. He was talking to black communities, but the devil knew that he had a fetish. He was out there messing up. So the devil kept poking at him. Think about it. And so what I'm trying to show you, that's the reason why black people as a whole can't make it. Because when you try to make it as a man, you're a target. Because the whole target is to get you to be buck broken as a woman so that you are no longer a threat. That means to emasculate you. Second, to institutionalize you, put a crime on you. Look at all the heavyweight fighters. When they became great or some kind of, I wouldn't say a power, but some kind of encouragement to the black community, they find a crime. They want to, at their peak, they wind up getting them way to get them, find a way to put them in jail. Yeah. We're going to find a way to incarcerate you. That's it. People have to understand how the devil works, because once I can remove the man from the home. And the sad part about this is when you say this kind of stuff, people want to say, well, if you know this, what's the problem? You can know something all day long, but guess what? If you're a human being, you still have to drink water. And I don't care how much in your mind that you know and you see what's going on as a black man in America, if the woman, the majority of black women, if their mind is been captivated by this system, even when you call it out, they're going to say something wrong with you. You crazy. You ought to look at some of the old pictures. I remember I saw this black and white show, and there was a black woman in the show, and it was an old show. But the black man, she would be attacking you, old fool, and she was so loyal to the white man, the man that owned the land, and she was always getting on this black man almost like he was a child, or get over there and sit down. It reminds you of the hyenas and the lions. Black people have been made into hyenas. I'm gonna show you something about the hyenas. See, the hyena clan, among the hyenas, the female is bigger than the male. She actually has a penis, just like the male hyena, but hers doesn't work. And then when she gets ready to have a child, the penis goes up and like a, get ready like a woman, or a regular human woman, and then it could have a baby. And then once it had the baby, then it go back to like a fake penis. Wow. And we talk about, white America talks about black women like they're angry and mad and all these kind of things and make fun of black women like they're like men and stuff. But the funny part about that is, or not the funny, the sad part about it is, years ago, they created black women in that way. They gave them certain privileges just above the male to not only emasculate that man, but to make him less than a man, and to make the woman where she has no respect for that man. And gave certain black people in America certain privileges that even when they saw mistreatment of the majority of black people, they didn't say anything, because they say, I have special privileges. I want to show you something. In America, you can go and rap about all this craziness, and the majority of black people will support that foolishness, even though it's tearing down the community. You can go to jail, and black people as a whole, not all of them, will raise money to get you out of jail, to go get a bail money. Thousands of dollars. You can have a good cause to open a business. They won't help you, but they'll raise money to bury you. They'll raise thousands of dollars to put you in a nice suit and a casket and put you under the ground. But you can say, let's bring up wealth to create a business. Let's do things where we can, and this is not to say nobody is doing these things. So I want to context this. There's a lot of black people that are opening up black businesses and helping in the community. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying, it is nothing substantial to pull up a community. What I mean by that, industry, towns, cities, we don't have that as a whole. I'm talking about overall. You don't see in America a black city. There are some, but very rare. A black city that is prospering with its own police department, warehouses, industry, universities. To show you what I'm talking about, there is not one Power 5 all black university. And people say, why is that important? We're all Americans. Well, if you're going to keep talking about black people, saying they lead in crime, lead in abortions, if you're going to keep saying these things, the absentee of the black father, they're criminals, if you're going to say these things, then the only way to pull up a people is to let people see a people. See, a person can hear you saying something all day, but they're going to believe what they see. You can talk all day about the black family and talk, but until you show them a black family, you can talk about your degree and universities all day until you show them a university. See, this is why even when you try to talk to our mother, see, what had happened is the cycle has to be broken. And to break that cycle, we have to deal with our mother. Because our fathers has already been dealt with. I hope you hear that. Our fathers have already been dealt with. Now we have to deal with our mother. See, I remember seeing Jesse, I think it was Josie Wales, that's what it was. The movie Josie Wales. And in the movie Josie Wales, it was the last of the rebels, and this particular Union officer, he was going to kill them all. He said he's going to kill them all. And he told him, the war is open. He said, oh no. He said, yeah, we won the war. We won the war. Now we got to go get about winning the peace. And so what he believed is that the war was won, but there's a lot of rebels out there that we need to get rid of them. That's what he thought. He felt that. Let me tell you something. A lion will go and hunt another male lion down for miles. By nature. He knew that he expunged that lion from a pride, and he knows that lion is going to try to come back, so he'll hunt him until they kill him. Did you know there's a lot of white people in America, and I want to say this in context, Not all white people are racist. I'm not saying that. There's a lot of Christian, good, God-fearing, believing white Americans and white Europeans, and in fact, all races. And so I have to say race because Europeans created race. I didn't create race. So I have to address what you created. And so what we see in this day is that there is a group of people that will hunt you down and is hunting you down till you dead. They are hunting the black male. See, some of you got away. I said the black man has been dealt with already, but I didn't say all of them. And there were some that lived. See, there are some of you, your fathers lived. Oh, they were attempted to break him, but they could never break him. He died. And he left a message to some sons, a lot of sons that are here in America, in Africa, and all over the world. Those are the ones that are being hunted down. They want to emasculate you. They want to kill you. They don't want to see you with another black woman. They don't want to see you because they see you as a threat to what they're doing. And you are a threat. You are a threat. This is why they will sit there and promote sexy red. But that could be a black woman who dressed modest and put her clothes on and cover herself and could try to open up something that can help the people and can barely scrape up the money. But look how they just throw that money at sexy red. Look at what this woman has said. Just vulgar nonsense. Gonorrhea, this, that, syphilis, chlamydia, whatever they on the lyrics. I don't know, all that junk. How is that building up anybody? But people say it's entertainment. Entertainment. Wow. And that's why the black community can't grow. It's been a seed planted centuries ago. And they'll tell you now what laws on the book is keeping you from succeed. They have self-defense term, race card, victim mindset, race baiting. They always saying it's race. What's stated need not to be, what's understood rather, need not to be stated. It's understood with a lot of European Americans, and many of you under the sound of my voice and all over have this illusion or this misunderstanding that Hispanics are black. Like Hispanics are really for you. Are you serious? Hispanics had slaves too. They started it from a European perspective. Some kind of way, and the reason I brought that up, there was a person on Facebook and I said that he was a bigot, and he said, how I'm gonna call a Latino a bigot. What? That's hilarious. To think that a Latino or Hispanic person cannot be a bigot or racist is crazy. As I'm telling you, how they have captivated our women. Black women are racist against black people. I can't tell you how many times I've heard black women, look at that nigga. Nigga can't do nothing. Nigga always doing something. I wouldn't let a nigga fix nothing. Niggas always bootlegging something. Now, if your worldview is so negative, well, who were you around the most? Obviously, you will be in the womb of your mother for 9 months, or maybe possibly 7. Most of the dysfunctional teaching that children and young men have, they got it from their mama, because that's where they were mostly around. People want to act like they just dropped out the sky. Who were you around the most? See? And I know a lot of times we say that the young girl can be around her father. That's true too. But I'm going to tell you, male or female, most children are going to have a bond with their mom. That's a bond. That's why when you can see mom doing some of the most dysfunctional things, it's hard. Mom can go cuss daddy out. Mom can slap the piss out of daddy. but let daddy slap mama. It's just, no, you can't do that. It's what's in us. We can accept the mama hitting the father. We can accept mama lying to daddy, but we cannot accept it when daddy do it to mama. And then there are times, for the most part, we can accept when the father is a rolling stone. Now that's the other side of that coin. But we can't accept it if our mama is a rolling stone or whatever you want to call it. And so we all have our little, what we accept and what we won't, or tolerate and what we won't tolerate. But overall, when we look at why it's a black people or people in Africa, why we can't grow, we have not dealt with our women. See, white people, they have the numbers. They can go out and make a million hoes. They can make 20 million hoes, white hoes. But they have the numbers that they can afford to lose about 40 million people. We don't have the numbers, and we don't have the overall wealth to compete, meaning we don't have the militaries on the level of the European powers. We don't have the schools, the universities on their levels. We don't have the overall wealth or equity to compete with the overall wealth and equity that they have. So the things that we do, we can't get away with it that they can. It's not that they don't do it. It's just that we don't have the numbers to compete. They have more numbers to get away with it. And they have put all this dysfunction in our homes, and then they want to point back and say, look, they really violent to one another. But they have put that in our DNA, put that in our homes, in our cultures. Have you noticed that when you go to a safari park, a lot of times those lions, people want to say, why don't them lions attack the Jeeps? Have y'all noticed that? Have you noticed how lions will be walking around and the people be sitting, they don't have cages on them or nothing? And sometimes they do, but they sitting out there wide in the open. Think about that. I want you to think about that. But let a gazelle, a hyena, or anything come around, they attack them. Now they try to say that the lion looked at that Jeep and don't see all the moving parts. Oh, you crazy. You think that lion think them people is a part of the Jeep? That lion know that you are a Jeep, but that lion has a memory. And that lion has seen how you dealt with his daddy. And he also, that mama has passed that down. They shoot people. They shoot people. They will shoot you, Johnny. You don't think them animals know that? But for that to happen, but watch this. There is always that mad lion that gets out of line. They know that they go in there and track all around them park, put collars on them and shooting them with tranquilizer. But there's always that lion that said, I don't care about you shooting people. If you come on this planet, I catch you, I'm gonna kill you. They call him a mad lion. They go track him down until they find him and then they kill him. Because they say, we God, everything in this park you can eat and kill. But don't you kill none of us. Don't you attack us. That's how black people are done in America. They're done like this in our churches, in our schools. You're okay to fight each other, to kill each other, to sell drugs to each other. But if I catch you out in one of these white neighborhoods selling dope, if I see you disrespecting a white lady, you can call your lady a hoe and a B all you want, but don't you disrespect the white lady. We can disrespect your woman. We can come in and impregnate your black daughter. But if I catch you with mine, it's on. Because we God. We God in here. That's not to say all white people think this way, but it's to say the ones who believe like the Confederacy, they believe it. They want your daughter to be programmed to know that we run this ship. And when they're looking at you and you don't have that mindset, they saying you got a problem. He one of those. We got to watch him. And then they want to paint you as violent. dangerous. He's a killer. But they walk around here. I've seen them walk around here with 4 or 5 guns. And have you noticed they don't look at the white man as dangerous? No matter how many mass shootings, how many mass serial killers and rapists, nobody walks around, very few, let me say nobody, I won't say nobody, very few people walks around thinking that the white man is dangerous. You can walk into a store and see the white man with 3 guns and nobody feels uncomfortable, because they have programmed your mind that the white man is safe. The white man come pick up a kid from the school, nobody thinks about pedophile, but they are pedophiles. So many of them pedophiles. But let the black man do what they might. Is he a pedophile? Because they have now painted you as a criminal element. Your woman think you're a criminal element. And it paves the way for the whole world to see you as such. Even the African. When you speak African, I don't know African, but let's say if I spoke African, I'm just for the sake of, or let's say if I spoke African. Have you noticed that when you speak African, people think you ignorant or dumb? But let you speak French, let you come over here and speak British, speak Japanese. But now I'm going to show you some languages when you speak that people start looking at you crazy. If you speak African and Vietnamese, people looking at you like you a catfish or something. But when you speak French, everybody, oh, hey. Come on. They're not looking at you like, what did you say? They acting like they really know what you said. You can come in and speak French. Come and tell it, boo. Oui, monsieur. And they will tell, have a seat. Don't know nothing you said. But come in there and speak some African. Instantly, I remember at Walmart, I was just trying to be really nice. I saw a black woman in the Walmart line and I said, you look really nice. You look like you from Africa. She instantly became offended. So I said, I guess if I had said you was from France or Europe, you felt more better, huh? I said, I was just giving you a compliment. She said, that wasn't a compliment. That was a put down. I said, whoa. I said, okay, well, my apologies. Maybe next time I just say you look like you from Europe. She didn't even see how her mind was programmed that when you say African, even when our own children, not all of them, will be around certain places and will say things like, you black, you ugly, you dark monkey, saying this to one another. To be dark is a put down. Wow. And so, as I'm getting ready to wrap this up, to show you why the majority of black people are not progressing as a whole, it is because we have been institutionalized. We have been butt broken and we have been mentally raped. So now we in turn teach our children to believe as the person who mentally raped us want us to believe. They not teaching the class. You're teaching the class at your house. You're teaching that class. You're teaching it at your church, your business. You teach that. Yeah, you do that. You do that. When you get money, you're not trying to build up a black woman. You're trying to find a Mexican and a white woman to build up. Wow. And when you teach it to them, oh, quit being racist. You can't help who you love. They say all that nonsense because you got money. But as soon as you get into an argument, they want to bring out the statistics. The biggest problem is the absentee of the black father. Too many black criminals. They don't say the absentee of men. They don't say too many crimes by men or women. They say they start bringing up race. But when you bring up race about how to fix the problem, there you go, bringing up race. Why I gotta always be about race? And then they come right back talking about race. Always moving the goalpost. This is why they're so at Deion Sanders. Because Deion Sanders represents a threat. Look at his black son, the men, they coming after him. He got his son, Deion Sanders Jr. He's making money doing video. Shiloh Sanders, they see that as a threat. They go right into their natural instincts. Predator. Conquering. Threat, they threat mode. But Deion Sanders is not the first African-American coach. He's not the first NFL player to try to go into coaching. But if you would listen to this video, he represents one of those, what they call mad lions. He represents that lion that, I don't care if you're sitting on that Jeep or not, you move or you're going to get bit. I know he got a gun, but you got to get to it. See, there's some lions like, oh, I don't want no smoke. They go on. But there's some lions that I'll charge you. I saw a lion, even though he saw that gun, he charged him. He came out of them bushes charging. That was a real aggressive lion. And what you have to understand, if they killed that lion, so his genes wouldn't be passed on down no more. And when you have a passive lion, don't you know, lioness will not mate with a passive lion? But depending on what type of lioness that is. That's not all of them. And so if they can kill off this certain type of lion, the only lions you producing is the lions they want to be produced. See, there are certain type of black men that are being killed off. But society is letting the emasculated black men to survive. The buck broken black man to survive. The Tim Scotts of the world. You can survive. Officer Tatum, you can survive. You can live. Because you think the way we want you to think. That's it. We'll even let you marry our daughter. We'll do that. We'll let you go ahead and we'll knock you off, kill you anyway. This is why the majority of black people are not surviving, because the majority of black people are on reservations. They're in safaris. And they know that if you come off that safari, as Denzel Washington said in Training Day, I'm a tax. You have been conditioned to do a certain thing. That's why black people to get out there and kill somebody over stepping on their shoe. But they're not going to go in that white neighborhood and doing that. Because they know if I cross that line, I'm going to pay. Come on. And so the thing to fix all of this, it's not saying, oh, let's get mad at all white people and start some revolution. I didn't say that. I'm saying it's time that we deal with our women. And women, it's a collaborative effort that you need to deal with your sons. It has to be a group effort. We need to raise men to be able to cover women. And we need to raise men to learn that I have to get me a wife to build a family. I can't talk about what needs to change. I need to show people. See, that's what Candace Owens, she talking about the black man. You can talk all day. You defeating the whole purpose. You with a white man. I don't care if we are mixed. If you know it's a problem, find somebody black to marry and show the world how it's supposed to be done, especially the black world. I hope you have a great night tonight. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I want you to share it with as many people as you can. We need some help. And we need to realize that this thing is deep. And if you're wondering why you're in trouble, it's because you're teaching trouble. If you wonder why so much dysfunction, you wonder why your son's on drugs, you taught him to be weak. A person on drug is mentally weak. You taught him to be that. The mother taught. Most men who are on drugs had a mama that taught them to be on drugs, whether they see that or not. They had a mother. That's who they was around. And if a father wasn't doing somebody, that's because he's dead or institutionalized. That's it. Or lastly, the child has been taught to have an issue with the father by the woman who has a problem. That's a lot of our women, our children problem. The mother mad and she wants the kids to be mad at the father. So they grow up with all this anger toward their fathers. And now look at the child. Hope you have a good day. Go ahead and like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel. Continue to follow me here on Facebook, ARA Self-Empowerment Podcast. Have a great night.